Hi, it's Steve here again from the Studio One Soapbox, and today I want to take a look at the most essential part to any mix at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end, and that is gain staging. Now, gain staging is much overlooked because it seems quite boring, it's unexciting, and we just want to dive right in, get going with our plugins and our outboard gear, and get mixing the song. But firstly, if you don't set your levels and if you don't keep an eye on those levels all the way through the mix, especially when adding more plugins, which can add or take away from that level, and at the very end, when you've done all your processing, if you don't check your levels, you could ruin your whole mix. It could be an absolute disaster. So, what do I mean by this? Well, here for instance, we have a little song. We've imported all our stems, we've arranged them, drums, bass, guitars, keyboards, and vocals. And this is our first time playing it back, and we're trying to check out and see what the levels are. Now, let's keep an eye on the master fader, and if anything shows up red, it's clipping, it's running too hot, and that is digital distortion, which is the most horrendous thing you'll ever hear. So, without further ado, let's play this back. As you can see, we're absolutely clipping like crazy on the master fader. Yet, as you hit the middle of the song, as you hit all of the levels themselves are actually clipping. But in the past, there was we hit it's 3D. So as you can see, we have a major issue. This is clipping like crazy on the master fader. Now, how do we go about fixing this, getting it at a level where we can now start to mix it? Well, the first port of thought for most people is to insert a trim plugin across all your faders. In Studio One's case, we're going to Presonus, and we are looking for it's the Mix 2. Now this is quite easy to use. We just simply have a gain knob. We can reduce the gain, increase the gain. And we would add one of these across every single channel. We would play it back. Most people try to hit between -12 and -6 dB on the fader. And so you'd be adjusting this, trying to get, always go to the loudest section of any song, usually the chorus, as we have done here, and set your levels that way. Have it in a loop, have it playing back, watching your levels, and you use the gain control and you're trying to reduce it so that you're getting between your target of 12 or 6, -6, sorry. That's how a lot of people do it. But as you can see, inserting one of these across every channel, scrolling up and down, watching your faders, it's quite fiddly. Trying to keep all your faders at 0 dB for the mixing stage. I don't like doing it that way personally. I find it very difficult and it's very fiddly as well. So next, let's remove that. Next up for most people after that, if they don't do that, we go to what is called the clip gain and we adjust from there. Now in Studio One, there's two ways to reduce or increase your clip gain. Here we have expanded the vocal track, and if we come across here, we can see that little blue square. That is your clip gain level. Now what does that mean? It means this is the volume level of this track, which you can adjust before it hits your faders or your plugins or any processing that you're about to do. And so you can adjust your level from here and stop it from clipping on your main bus. So you can simply grab this, watch the numbers. You can see I've come down -6.6 dB. I can also increase the volume if we were too low, up 3 dB. Or another way, if we hit F4 on the keyboard, open up our inspector, and if we come down to here, we can see gain. Now if we hover over that with our mouse, hold down our left mouse button, There again you can see we're reducing and lowering our clip gain. A lot of people prefer using the inspector because if you hold down Control and you click once, it resets it to 0 dB. Again, you would have to flick back and forth watching your levels. You're trying to hit for -6 or -12, whichever one you've chosen, and you're back and forth. It's a lot of work, especially if you've been given, I mean, here we've only got 34 tracks, but if you've been given a song and there's 100, maybe 150 tracks, because there's multiple guitar takes, vocal takes, on, you'd be here all day doing this, and that simply just is impractical. And I know a lot of people do it this way, but it's just not for me. It takes too long. So, how do I go about gain staging? Well, for a few dollars, a few pounds, a few euro, whatever country you happen to be in, you can get and purchase the excellent Klanghelm VUMT meter. Now, why would I use this instead of the one that comes free with Studio One? Well, I've taken this up with Personas and they totally disagree with me, but I have proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you can go to Ian Shepherd. I'll leave a link under the video, who is a mastering engineer, who also talks about how different plugins aren't accurately measuring the RMS level. Now, the Klanghelm does it accurately. The one that comes free with Studio One can be out by at least 3 dB. Now that could totally ruin your mix. So this one's very cheap, highly accurate. So how would I go about gain staging? Well, basically we're looking to hit 0 on the VU meter, which is -18 dB RMS on our main fader. So let's go. You go to the highest part of the song, usually the chorus, put a little loop on it, as I have. Let's just get back. There we go, a little loop. And let's play it back. Let's get that back up. Sorry about that. And let's see where we are on the faders. Here we go. As you can see, even the VUT, we are totally off the scale. Now that is resulting in digital distortion, and believe you me, that is the last thing you want in any DAW or in any mix, because it sounds absolutely horrendous and it's impossible to fix, really. So how do I go about gain staging with the VUMT meter? Well, quite simply, I just try to aim for 0 dB to get an average. I go to the loudest part of the song, usually the chorus, and we put a little loop on the chorus, and we keep playing it back, adjusting our levels of all our faders until we are averaging around 0 dB, which is -18 dB on our fader. So, firstly, let's click on our first fader. Let's scroll to the end of our session, hold down the Shift key, click on our last fader. Now we've highlighted all our tracks. Just click on one of the faders and let's play this back and adjust our levels. We've come down about -12.5 dB. And as you can see, we're averaging around the 0. A little over, but that's not too bad. Now, let's go over to our main fader, clear our clipping indicator, and let's play it back now and see if there's any clipping. Let's watch the master fader. as you can see, the white is indicating we're average around -18, and our peak levels are just under -6. Now that is absolutely the ideal level to start recording at. Now a lot of people would find this very controversial. They would say, you can't do this. You can't start off a mix with all your faders reduced down to -12.5 dB, because it gives you so little room to maneuver in, basically. Well, in most other DAWs, yes, that would be probably a problem. But I'm not really watching these levels per se. I'm watching the levels of the VUMT, which I have inserted on the post, which means after all effects, after all processing on my master fader. And I'm constantly watching it, even as I'm adding and processing my levels and my tracks. I'm always referring back and making sure that I'm not clipping, and I'm sort of staying around the 0 dB on the VUMT meter. It's a good place to be. It means whenever you've passed it on to your mastering engineer, or you want to put on a limiter before you send it to him, if he requested that he wants a specific level, it means that you and anybody coming after you that is dealing with the mix has plenty of room for the maneuver in. So also in Studio One, we can increase and decrease the length of our faders. An absolutely excellent feature of Studio One. So as you can see, if I play us back just quickly, we've still a lot of fade on our levels there. It's quite easy to see. So, I mean, that's how I would gain stage. Then you would say next, right, where would you start now you've gained stage this thing? Basically, I would use the old method, which Jakir King has pointed out on the internet through Graham Cochrane's therecordingrevolution.com. So basically, you would start off with the kick drum. So in this case, we have two kick drums, probably an inside mic and an outside mic. Let's solo those two tracks and play them back. Now, according to the method, which I used to use in old analog way, you want to try and get your kick drum hitting at -3 dB. So if we get these two faders, and let's increase them and try and get the kick hitting around -3 dB. There we go. That's averaging. So we've had to come up approximately 9.2 dB on the kick drum. Next, we go to our bass. Let's click here, go down to our bass, and let's solo the bass. Let's play that back. When the bass is playing and the kick drum, we want it to be hitting around 0 dB. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, roughly about there. That's come up about 7.1 dB. Now, that is our bass level set, and if we work the rest of the mix from here, where we have set the level of our kick drum, we have set the level of our bass guitar, and they're averaging around 0 dB. You could possibly even come up a little more there if necessary. Now we can build the mix around those two, and we can have a bit of confidence that our lower levels are set exactly where we need them to be. And so if we set those levels of our kick drum and our bass guitar, we're averaging around 0 dB. Maybe we could even come up a little more. Yes, that's a bit better. Now we can build the rest of the mix around the kick drum and the bass level, which we have originally set. Now, if we unsolo those, let's play the whole track back. Keep an eye on our levels. So we've raised our kick, we've raised our bass to set our level for where we're going to start mixing from and building the rest of the track too. Let's have a look. Keep an eye on the master fader. But there is 0 clipping on our main bus meter. That's how we go about setting levels. As I'm inserting any processing on our kick, on our snare, on anything, and I'm putting a plug-in on, I'm always double checking the levels. So say for instance here on the kick, we decided to go with some Pro EQ. Here in the bottom corner is the gain. So obviously if I boost anything on this kick drum, it's going to increase the volume, and I need to turn the gain down. If I have taken away anything, I would obviously have to increase. And using the bypass switch on and off and listening and checking that it's the exact same volume level, at the same time watching your failure level on your main bus, and you can make sure that you're not increasing or decreasing the levels that you've just painstakingly set. So that is how I would do my gain staging, and you could just refer to your VU level through the mix at the start, in the middle, and at the end. And as you're adding processing, especially if you're going to use the console shaper, because without doubt it will boost your volume level, and you may have to go back and check things, maybe lower the volume levels of your faders again. Now, this is quite controversial, as I say, because a lot of people would say, but you've so little room to work in and you can't really see your levels. But I have found no problems with it whatsoever, especially in Studio One, where you can increase and decrease your faders, you know. So it gives you a lot of scope and a lot of view, whereas in some DAWs, you know, you'd be down here and playing the song back, for instance. You know, you may struggle to mix there, but again, you can use this in any other DAW. You don't need to have the adjustable faders, because you're always working off the VU level and you're trying to average around the 0 dB in the loudest parts of your song, usually the chorus, as I say. And this is how I would do it. Hopefully you will find this of use. Hopefully you will try it, at least, even if you say, nope, I'm going to use a trim fader, or I'm going to reduce the clip level of, the clip gain, and go with that method. I mean, you could be there for ages. With this, as you can see, it's very quick. It's very quick, it's easy done. Straight after, use your kick drum, use your bass, have your kick at -3 dB in the loudest sections, have your bass guitar playing back with your kick drum, hitting an average in around 0, and that's your level set for your mix. Now you can reduce things and build things, boost things, and build your mix around the solid foundation that you've just set. On a footnote, I would like to point out to Presonus that the track list is could do with a lot more features, because realistically all I can do is highlight. I can't drag that to the bottom, I can't highlight, say I want to highlight all my drum tracks. Nope, holding shift, holding control or command, holding alt does absolutely nothing. Even right clicking on it just gives you the ability to add a bus. But as you can see, I can show or hide the track. I can maybe group tracks, but you can't select more than one track here. In other DAWs, which I refuse to name, this track list is fully operational. I mean, I could grab the snare, drop it down to the bottom. I could highlight numerous tracks, right click and group them. And it's far easier then to get your way around the mix. I mean, as you can see, if I want to work on the lead vocal and I click here, it highlights the lead vocal and takes me to it. But, so a bit more functionality, please, Presonus. In the track list view, let's have it that we can drag our tracks around in it, that we can highlight and group tracks in it, and give it a bit more functionality, please. Just my little gripe there with the track list. So, thank you for joining me today. I will leave links in the blog for the VU meter, and I hope you did find this useful. I know a lot of you would disagree with me on this. That's quite fine. But I've found that this method is quicker, it's faster, and it gets levels where they need to be very quickly and lets you get on with the all important part of mixing the song and building your mix around a solid foundation which you've already set very quickly on your kick drum and your bass guitar. So thank you again. Thanks for joining me. I hope you did find this useful, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Thank you.